So last week, Hitman came out, and you've been playing it a fair bit. You played it for a live stream on IGN last week.
Yeah.
But it's only episode 1 of a handful that are coming out. And I'm still not sold on the whole episodic nature of the game. I think it can work in some respects. So, like, I think Walking Dead and Telltale have been masters of that art. But other examples, not quite so good. Half-Life 3 being the worst example.
Like, you know. Because it's not here. They didn't unveil it. Episodic is like, it's a dirty word to me. Yeah. As soon as I hear it, I start turning off.
How come?
I don't know. I just have bad connotations of episodic games.
Episodic games?
Yeah.
Yes. But not episodic in general.
Oh, no, not in general. Yeah, episodic games. Because I think for me, like in my brain, it feels like it's kind of stemmed from the popularity of DLC. So it's kind of like, instead of having a game that then has chapters of DLC, it feels like a game entirely made out of DLC. Like you're purchasing like all these different things instead of a bundle. I much prefer to just buy it all in one big chunk and play through it.
Yeah. And so you've played the whole first part of Hitman, so the Paris level, which you completed like easily in under an hour. And I know the whole point of that game is, same as Ground Zeroes is that actually there's way more to it.
Yeah.
But it just feels like, surely when you're going to get the finished box game, which now actually the box game release has been pushed back to 2017, which seems crazy.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
It's going to feel like a bunch of disjointed missions rather than having something, unless, I don't know how you're going to tie it all together.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. So I went to, before the game came out, before we did the live stream, I went to like a preview event where we got to play the Paris level.
Yeah.
And that was very much, you had a set time to play this one level. And because of that, I actually beat it. And then, I was like looking, I was like, I still have half an hour. So I went through and did it another time, like killing them in different ways. And you definitely do see the benefits of that, because I feel like a lot of people, if they were able to just beat that first mission and move on to the second one, you would. Because it's just not, you feel like you've done it and you can come back later, although people might not. But yeah, just that little fact of like going back a second time, there's so much detail going on in this game.
So is it like choosing an episodic publishing strategy, is that not encouraging a wider audience to actually experience the game as it's intended to be played? Because people would buy the game that has the 20 environments, how many environments it will be. And like you say, they'll do one, they'll go on to the next one, and they'll just like go all the way through it, and then go trade that in now.
Yeah.
And not really had a Hitman experience. And obviously it's difficult to like dictate to people how they should play a game. But I think that is a type of game that people unfamiliar with Hitman wouldn't experience or appreciate the variety and the level of kind of creativity involved in doing cool hits. Like you doing the live stream, you were like messing about and having a great time, just experimenting and doing stuff. And if there is the next episode immediately available, you probably just do go on.
Yeah. But that's no different from, I don't know, Metal Gear, for example. Like you can be so creative with the way you play that game, and we saw that. Like I was playing it to a completely different way from you and from Dan Kilby as well. And there were loads of those missions.
Yeah.
And here it feels like, well, you've got 7 or 8 pieces of episodes or whatever it might be.
I would kind of disagree in comparing it to Metal Gear Solid, because obviously, so the differences between like Metal Gear Solid, there's maybe like a bunch of different ways that you can storm this base and execute your mission, which is similar to Hitman, because you can say that, there's a number of different ways in which you can kill these 2 targets, which is your goal.
Yeah.
But there's much more on top of that. Whereas so this is like the game that has the most complex AIs I've ever experienced in any game. I think they can have 400 unique AIs on the map at one time, and like over 1,000 just regular NPCs. So all these characters are programmed to like react in different ways, to be at different locations at different times.
You still throw coins in their face. And
I still throw coins in their face and strangle waiters in the bathroom in their own sick.
It's not quite a Turing test, is it? It's like Ex Machina.
He does that in real life.
But
you in Ex Machina, you would just sit down in the room with the lady robot throwing coins in her face, going, "I don't think she's real."
Just a stack of 2p's.
I had so much fun during that live stream with Gav, and that was a perfect example. When I did the preview event, I just went through and killed the 2 targets. Now there's a lot of also side missions that you can eavesdrop and pick up on and give additional things that you can do, and it means that at the end you get extra points. And you get higher up on the leaderboard. But one of the things we did on the live stream this time was in the Paris fashion show, you can actually impersonate one of the male models who's like the VIP of the whole event. So me and Gav followed him out to the garden and strangled him and took his clothes and threw him over a pier, which actually killed him. I was hoping he was going to hit the water, but he hit the dock instead.
Yeah.
And
just strangling him.
But if you threw him in the water and he's unconscious or dead.
Strangled him.
So you led with an aggressive act.
Quite gently. I did he's still breathing. I mean, he's not now. He's dead.
Yeah, but if you threw him in the water, he wouldn't be.
If he landed on his back,
if he was unconscious,
I don't know what his body fat ratio is. Maybe he floats, like bread.
Most people float, don't they? He's got air inside you.
Maybe. Well, he didn't. He didn't have any.
Well, he didn't hit the water. He hit the dock.
Long story short, he died.
Yes.
But it meant that we could go up to the second level of this kind of secret event where they're auctioning off government secrets and like blacklists, which is also really cool because just walking around the characters and eavesdropping, you can hear all the secrets that are being auctioned off and what people have come from what countries. It's cool. It's really cool. Well, they weren't very great about that. And then, we strangled a woman, which I felt really bad about, and then made a daring escape, like hanging over the top of the beams of the fashion show. But that was something that's completely optional. And I didn't, I must have played
Killing
that
women is always optional.
Not mandatory. I must have played that map through 3 times before I actually did the impersonation, and that was like the funnest part of it all.
But that again seems very similar to how Ground Zeroes played out. Like there was
you dressed up as a German supermodel and stormed in.
Yes.
Oh hey fellas, get on your horse.
I guess Hitman programs in more kind of unique ways of doing it. Like obviously Ground Zeroes has a lot of flexibility in play style, whereas Hitman, it seems like it hides in very specific ways of you wanting to solve it. Like whether it's impersonating a funny character or like...
Sure. But I think ultimately, if you're thinking about it, so it's priced similarly to Ground Zeroes, I believe. Or no, Ground Zeroes was perhaps a little bit more expensive.
It was, wasn't it?
I think it was 20 quid, wasn't it?
I think it was maybe a bit more. Anyway.
But so Hitman is what?
It's $11.99 for the starter and
$15.
then 8 quid per episode thereafter.
Yeah. So, that's reasonably priced, but it's not even so much the kind of the cost for me. It's like watching a TV show, right?
Yeah.
You finish the first episode TV show, you're like, I want to see that again. You've only got a week to wait most of the time, unless it's a mid-season finale. Mm-hmm. If it's a month or it's 2 months or it becomes, I just don't know if I can be bothered to wait that long.
Yeah. That's what you're saying. You're saying if the full game is released in 2017.
Well,
it's tricky.
The disc version is. Yeah. So it may well be out on digital before that.
Is the buzz still going to be there? Like, who's going to be picking up the full disc version like a year after everyone's already
be cheaper.
done everything? Yeah. But I mean, naturally it would be cheaper because that's what happens with anything as it ages. Most things, not wine. Wine gets more expensive.
But I like the idea. I know that's just not practical. But if that game was, let's say, rather than... I'm assuming it's probably 50% finished right now. Imagine if they put it out when it's like 85 or 90% finished, and they could guarantee it's like, this is the first pack. This is
I guess maybe that's based on research, whereas like you're asking for money for people every week.
Sure,
it's trickier than saying once a month.
That's true,
right.
Yeah.
But then that way, but you can still buy the full game. But it's more about giving people options over sampling, so they can buy that first intro level at $15 and go, actually, this is really cool. I want to kind of get in. And then you go and buy the full game, you get the discount or whatever it might be. But it's more about giving consumers choice in how they purchase it rather than, here's the first episode. And I can just see it being stretched out to a point where, we're hitting the end of the year and Hitman's still coming out.
I think this is definitely like something they're conscious of as well, because when I went to the preview event, they obviously had the presentation talking about the game and the levels you're going to be playing, but there was also like a whole section about the fact that it's episodic, and they were kind of explaining why they think it's a good idea and why they're doing it. And obviously a lot of what we were bringing up was part of it, that they want people to replay the same missions again before they move on to the next one. But another one that they brought up, which I thought was kind of cool and made it a bit more justified in my eyes, was that they say some of the episodes that will be released later on will change the way that you look at the first episodes, and they might change the way that you would execute the missions. So maybe there's things that happen later, and then you're like, whoa, I'm going to go back to this first one that I had like months ago, when you realize that there's another level involved that you didn't realize.
That German supermodel was actually your brother.
Yeah.
Which is why you look exactly like
Exactly. You wouldn't be surprised. Poor Helmut. He's dead now.
Stop saying it like that.
Helmut is his name. Everyone's like, hello, Helmut. That is in the game. That is straight dialogue from the game.
Good.
But I thought that's quite interesting. It's the same. It's the same with Quantum Break. How like later on, like decisions you make could alter things that happened in the show that make you want to go back and play. I think that's a really cool mechanic.
Yeah. Well, if that's true and it does have a genuine impact, then that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
I think it's a good experiment because we're used to like episodic and lots of other things like TV, comic books, and the games that have only done it so far, you think successfully, are the kind of like the adventure games, the story-driven adventure games. It'd be good to see like how what we think of as a more kind of traditional game fares having that strategy, because I think it could be interesting. Like, because on the flip side, like you'd be really, if you say you're really into it, like I don't think any of us around here are like huge Hitman fans. We like it. Yeah. But imagine if this game is like there's something cool to look forward to every month. Like I don't know.
I guess it's definitely a way to keep buzz, alive longer than just like big release and then kind of fizzle out. It's like keep talking about it. Yeah,
we'll see. Well, let's continue this discussion when the full game finally comes out, and we'll see if it's maintained its consistency all the way through.
Tune in 2017.
Yeah.